This is my camera. Let me know when you're ready.
This is mine.
Call me. One.
Dr. Wilton Triggs! Let's go! All 2025, let's stand up, let's go. Up to the Triggs table talk. Come on, let's go. Clap up for Dr. Wilton Triggs. Hold on, Triggs. I didn't feel the love in that moment right there. Can we clap up for the moderator? He is a plastic surgeon. He is a professor, a mentor, and an advocate. Come on, clap your hands for the moderator. That's it. Listen, in this room, I want you to look at yourself and look at the person and say, there's no haters in this room. No, say it with that. You say, there's no haters in this room. So I want you to already just cut that out of your mind, because every person that walks on the stage is a reflection of you.
Come on.
So whatever they're sharing with you, don't bypass it because you don't believe where they are. Everybody has a story, and that's why the story led them to where they are today. So with that being said, to have Dr. Triggs guest on this beautiful stage, I would love to introduce, she's a physician and a counselor. Ladies, that means you better make some noise. Specializing in helping leaders safeguard their mental health while excelling professionally. Make some noise for Dr. Sarah Fotenot! Let's go, Dr. Sarah! Hey, go, Dr. Sarah! Go, Dr. Sarah! Go, Dr. Sarah! Go, Dr. Sarah! Hey! Oh my goodness, ladies, clap up for Dr. Sarah Fotenot. That's right. Listen, she's hosted so many different things. I mean, she's a renowned celebrity, psychologist, and life coach who breaks stigma and builds mental resilience for high-profile clients. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up to the stage, make some noise for Dr. Cheyenne Bryant! Dr. Bryant. Dr. Bryant. Dr. Bryant. Dr. Bryant. Come on, ladies, talk about the Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. And celebrity, psychologist, and life coach. All right, to continue this conversation, we have one more guest. And we know this guest is getting ready to bring something profound to the conversation. He is a board-certified internal medicine physician, founder of Everybody vs. Racism. Somebody say everybody versus racism. He is a top 10 doctor under 40, champion of equity and access. Make some noise for the one and only Dr. Gerald Onuoha. Let's go, Dr. Gerald Onuoha. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, strap down to your seat and join this next conversation as the moderator, Dr. Wilton Triggs. Take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Urban Golf Weekend 2025. This is Triggs Table Talks, and I am your moderator and host, Dr. Wilton Triggs, plastic and reconstructive surgeon. I would like to give another round of applause to our amazing MC, Ramses, for that great introduction. And also for our panelists. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. This is all about health, and you can't have wealth without health. So let's get to it. So you ready?
Testing.
All right, you all emphasize building supportive networks, communities. What does a healthy mental health ecosystem look like for a leader today?
You started with me?
Starting with you.
What's up, Miami? No, we ain't gonna do that. We ain't gonna do that. When I say what's up, Miami, we gonna apply like there's 4 million people in here. Can we do that? Yeah. All right, let me try this. What's up, Miami?
Yeah.
All right. So now I'm gonna answer the question. Now that we're ready. For me, it is your circle of wealth, right? And that circle of wealth is your relationships. That happens to be family, friends. And what makes it healthy is you making sure that you keep self-care. Me and Dr. Triggs talk about this all the time. Talked about last night. Self-care, a priority. Okay? The most selfless thing you can do for the folks around you that you love is to take care of yourself. Because if self is not taken care of, nobody else can be taken care of. We give people who we are and what we have. And so if we are a glass of red wine and somebody needs a glass of white wine, what is it that we can provide them? Red wine. And if that glass is empty, what is it that we can provide them? No wine. And so what I'm saying is we have to make sure that we're filling ourselves up, which is self-care.
Excellent.
And it's not selfish. And for the mothers, we got to work on the mommy guilt. And for the fathers and for the husbands who are providers, we got to work on the daddy and the husband guilt. Self-care is something that should be a priority. Second, I'll land on this is your circle of wealth need to be people that you can be your authentic self with. They need to be people that you can actually be every single moving part of who you are with those people. Because we recharge where we have refuge. We recharge where we have peace. There's no peace, there's no refuge, there is no recharge. And so we got to make sure that our folks, our village, our people, that we don't have to wear a mask around, that we don't have to wear a costume around, that we can show up and show out in the authenticity of who we really are. So when we go to and back into our service positions, we are recharged fully to code switch if we have to. We're going to keep it real, right? Or show up as professionals if we have to, but we have that well-roundedness of what's called life-work balance.
Trick, you should have put me on the training wheel.
Yeah.
I'm a
Better come with
beginner.
it.
So that was excellent.
Thank
So one of the things that I think about is leaders have to know that you cannot do this alone.
Love that.
You have to be able to build an ecosystem where you can get peer review, set up appointments for a therapist, get professional perspectives, and know that you can't do it by yourself. And also, you have to know that you can't pour from an empty cup. One of the things that I used to do, I used to be okay with burning out on every single project. And in burning out on every single project, I say, oh, I'm going to Jamaica for a month, I'm going to Puerto Rico for a month. And during that time, no work was being had. One of my mentors taught me, recharge at 40% and not at 5%.
I love that.
Because if you try to recharge at 5%, it takes longer to get to your baseline.
Right.
So know that you're not alone. You can't do this alone. If you're going to be a leader, you have to build an ecosystem where you can get feedback about how to stay mentally sound and make sure that your mindfulness is there. And also, don't wait until you're at 5% to try to
I love that.
recharge.
I love that.
So-
They almost took everything. I'm like, doggone it, how do I even
This
follow
right
any
here.
of them? God, Lord have mercy. And also,
Perfection.
I'm not a physician. I think they mixed up our intro, but it's
It's all
okay,
good.
y'all. You're about
Yeah.
to claim that on me because that's not the direction I'm going in. But what I will say is the importance of being where your feet are. So often we as entrepreneurs, when we're with our family, we're at work in our minds. Or when we're at work, we feel bad that we're not with our family, so we're with our family at work. And because we can't possibly be present in either of those situations, it causes more guilt, it causes more shame, and it causes a lack in productivity, whether that's you with your family or you in your business. And so one of the best ways to have a strong ecosystem is to be inside of it whenever you're there. The ecosystem and the water in your home is different from the water in your work. It's different from the water when you go out. It's different from brunch with the girls. It's all a different ecosystem, but you have to be there. You have to be present along with what these amazing people have already shared already. So that's what I would say.
Well, all right
Exactly.
then. Okay. Hey, taking it up a notch. Taking it up a notch. All right, Sarah, as an advocate, self-empowerment, business coach, you've seen firsthand how stress and burnout affect performance.
Yeah.
What's one key strategy you would recommend to professionals to safeguard their mental health while excelling in their careers?
You know what? Honestly, for me, I would say stop setting these huge, gigantic goals. A lot of the times we hear people say, affirm, you've got to affirm, right? But the truth is, we don't attract what we think about. We attract what we feel strongest about. And some of us are constantly feeling overwhelmed, feeling exhaustion, feeling inadequate, feeling imposter syndrome, and it paralyzes you from doing anything. And so I think that it's important to know what the big goal is, but focus on what are the baby steps that are required to get there. As an example, can I be transparent? Can I be transparent? Yes. Are y'all in this room? Yes. Okay, can y'all tell, are y'all in this room? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So when I first moved to America, I'm Canadian, guys, and I was struggling to pay my rent every single month. I was putting $5 on pump 3, not because I had no time, but because that's all the change that I could find in my couch. Is that okay? That's just the real of the situation. I was choosing between food in my fridge or gas in my car. And when I would go to seminars like this, I would sit and listen to all the successful people at the front of the room. And they would say, you've got to declare it. You've got to say it. You've got to say, I am a 6-figure earner. I am a 7-figure earner. And sure, I would say it, but what I would really feel like is a fraud. Does that make sense? People are telling me to be the light when my lights were shut off at the house. Does that make sense? So instead of saying I am 6-figure earner, $100,000, $1 million in your business is only $83,333 a month, which is $8,700 or $2,777 a day. How many people do you need to expose your product or service to consistently in order to do those numbers?
Right.
6 figures is the same thing. It's only $8,333 a month, which is only $277 a day. How many people do you need to consistently expose your product to? Because let me tell you, if you get 1 client, you can get 3. If you get 3, you can get 5. If you get 5, you can get 10. Next thing you know, you look up and it's like, dang, I'm a 6 and 7 figure earner.
I need a consultation after this.
Right.
I need help on my business.
All right, Cheyenne. So you work with high-profile individuals where the pressure to perform is constant. How do you coach them to manage stress without losing their edge?
First of all, y'all know me and Triggs, Wilton are real friends. He called me Cheyenne, not Dr. Bryant.
That's right. Yeah.
This is my boy. So do I work with a lot of high-level professionals,
Yep.
high performers, a lot of A-list celebrities, and I work with a lot of non-celebrity folks too. Shout out to my client, Danielle, who's here. And what I find to be their problem isn't making money, obviously, right? They're professional. Their bank account looks really good. It's the fact that they are so transactional that they forget to be relational. The fact that they are so performative, they forget how to recharge in the relational space. And so we have these really, really high-level professionals that are in my office in session. And when I am trying to get them to articulate what they feel, I'm trying to get them to be in a vulnerable space. I'm trying to get them to have some emotional intelligence. I'm trying to get them to be high functioning, not just high value. They tend to not be able to process that emotional piece. So what happens is they have this big, beautiful house that's called a mansion, and they're homeless as hell because there's nothing inside of it. And so what I tend to teach them is how to become more relational. Not in the boardroom, because we know that can make sure deals don't go through.
Right.
But in the house room, in the bedroom, okay, on the vacation, how are they being present? And not just with their partners or with their kids, but how are they being present with themselves? Because it all comes back to self. And I find that there's times where my clients come into my office, the high-performing ones, and when they just let out and they're able to cry and be their authentic self, that is the first time in so many years, especially from being a successful professional, that they're able to unload and let out and trauma dump. And when I tell you I've had clients, if I said their names, y'all would know, come to my office, put their head down on my desk and just weep for about 30 minutes. And I just affirmed, I'm with you. Take your time. I'm not going nowhere. And that was the exact week that they needed to realign themselves with self, to realign themselves with who they are, what their purpose is, and them as a person. Who I find, and I'll wrap on this, who I find that to be the biggest issue with, y'all, is men.
Yeah.
Men come into my office,
Yeah.
and you heard these two gentlemen say
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, you did. You in avoidant behavior. He's reflective. He's in awareness. But it's men. They come to my office, and it's after their wife is wanting a divorce. It's after their partner is complaining he's not here. It's after the kids are saying daddy's disconnected. It's after he has made all this money and taken every vacation, been on every yacht, and he is completely unhappy, miserable, and dark, and the lights are out. And so what I'm saying to everybody, especially the fellas in here, is that y'all got to make sure you're doing check-ins. And these golf days and these boys trips and these boys conversations, let's turn that from boys trips and conversations to some men trips and conversations. Let's have some mental health men conversations. Y'all check in with each other and really be vulnerable. Really express yourself. Really articulate how you feel and see how you guys can help each other become more relational so you don't end up on E with the wealthy bank account or in a mansion that's homeless. Because at the end of the day, when we look at age, time, sickness, and companion, as we get older, No one wants to die alone. No one wants to be sick alone. And no one wants to leave their money to the dog or the cat. At least I know I don't.
Say that.
So we got to work on that. We really do.
Yeah.
Dr. Bryant, how do you get a client from being tough, masculine, to being vulnerable and talking to you about what's going on in their life and what's going on with them psychologically?
I love that question because it is very different. It is very different for our Black culture than it is for the non-Black culture. And I am one of those psychology expert that I advocate for us on a fucking mountaintop. Excuse my language, but I do. And I do it very loud and clear, okay? Because there's only about 3% of us in this mental health field as therapists, psychologists, and psychology experts. And mental health psychology was originated in the 1800s, okay? And it was stemmed from the results of them doing studies on Caucasian and males. That means that all of the diagnoses in the DSM, they are tailored for white and men, not even for white and women. That's why we are too often underdiagnosed or overdiagnosed, okay? And not only that, when we go to see a therapist, even if they happen to look like us, a lot of times we are not able to be our authentic self culturally in session. So long answer short, I allow all my clients, no matter what race they are, because mental health is a human right, not a race right.
Sure.
But especially when I realize I have a Black client, especially Black and male, I've had clients say, I was telling this nigga, oh, doc, can I say that? Can I say that? And you know what I say? Hell yeah, you can. I need you to be exactly who you are because we are healing you, not your mask, not your work, not your moving part, we are healing your trauma, your pain, and all of that has to be exactly in who you are. And so when people have a safe space, and we have to figure out as a clinician, what does safe space look like for us? I'm gonna say it again. What does it look like for us? Not what does it look like for people, because we are a different culture. We come from a different place. And PTSD and depression looks different on us. And we have to have clinicians who are aware of that to say, I know it looks different on you. Let me learn and read the room. Let me not be a cookie cutter therapist and say the same thing that works for her, for Dr. Sarah, is going to work for you. It's not. So I'm building a real relationship with my clients where they know in my office there's no judgment. And lastly, I call them out. I say, you're out of pocket right now. And you'd be surprised at how many clients, especially high-level professionals, want to be called out. How many want to have accountability? And I say, you're deflecting right now. You're being transactional right now. And they appreciate those moments because they're not coming in my office. I remind them to spend all of this money, because I'm expensive, for me to coddle bad decisions. And for me to let them be who they came in being. When you're here because you want to shift, you want to change, you want to be better. So if you're in my office, we gonna work. Let's work.
Let's work. It's time for Gerald to work. All right, Gerald.
What you
when
got?
we think of community health, people often jump straight to physical well-being. So in your view, how is mental health just essential to community health?
So, working in internal medicine for 6 years, what I've noticed is
Go on and scoot up then, brother.
I can get in my bag. You feel me? Mental health and physical health are inseparable.
Yep.
You can build the best clinics in the world
100%.
and treat a spectrum of high blood pressure and diabetes. But if the patient's mentality isn't right, if they're dealing with depression and anxiety, then it's going to be very hard to manage the patient. And so one of the things that I do when I'm seeing patients is the first thing I ask them is, are you okay?
Okay.
How are you feeling? Because that's going to tell me how my treatment plan is going to go. Because if you're a mother, you're a single mother with 4 or 5 kids, then it's going to be very difficult to try to treat that high blood pressure. If you got to do this, you got to do that. You wake up early in the morning, you're going to bed late. You want to be by yourself, all because of the mental health
High stress
that's
levels.
going on. Exactly. And, based off of the research, and I know you do this a lot, patients that are stressed, and especially in the Black community, when you talk about discrimination and you talk about racism, that increases the risk of high blood pressure, diabetes, all the chronic comorbidities. And so you have to make sure that you're dealing with that. When I see Black patients, African Americans, the one thing I tell them is, you are able. You can do it. You are more than capable, because the world is telling you something different. And when the world tells you something different, even though you may brush past it, you still implant it in the back of your mind. But us telling each other that we are worthy of life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness takes you one step closer to that mindfulness, that mental sanity that you need to go throughout the rest of your day doing well. And so once you get the mind right, it's easier to treat the body.
Yeah, 100%.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves inside of the Black community to be a finished product, where we don't allow the compassion that allows our becoming. And so, like I was saying with the affirmations, if all you've ever focused on is the big goal, you will scare yourself out of the action necessary to reach it. So instead of saying, I am big goal, instead of writing with lipstick on your mirror, I am big goal, I am becoming the kind of person who. I am becoming the kind of person who is not going to be turned away by rejection. I am becoming the kind of person who can expose their product or service to X amount of people every single day. By the way, don't say 100 people when you've never done 10.
Yeah.
Don't say 50 people when you've never done 3. Be realistic with the actions that you've had. I am becoming the kind of person who can keep promises to themselves. One of the most powerful ways for you to build strength inside of your mental health is to keep promises to yourself. That's what builds confidence. When you show up for you and you show your little child, your inner child, that I'm here for you, I love you, and I'm going to show up for you, because we lie to ourselves so much, we don't even believe us anymore. How many of us set a goal January 1st? Ooh, I'm about to get abs. I'm about to get this booty right. I'm about to do all the things.
That's right.
And then 2 months later, the gym is empty.
Yeah.
They come see you, Dr.
That's right. That's right.
You
Bring
know?
it in.
I'm just saying. So I say that to
Keep
say,
them employed.
for real, fact, and that's okay too. That's okay too. But what I mean by that is, so often we set these goals and we fall short because they're just too big. But if you focus on the little things, you keep your promises to yourself, you will build confidence, you will get progress, and you will see a result. That's how to really build strength inside of your mental
And some
health.
of it is our fault too.
Yeah, for sure.
And mama's fault.
And aunties.
And grandma's fault. And daddy's fault. Because, I had a white friend tell me, he said, my mom was a doctor, my dad is a doctor, my grandfather's a doctor. And when I went through school, they set all these things up for me. So all I had to do was just take it.
Yeah.
In the Black community, we make it seem like, oh, well, I had to struggle, so you had to struggle too. So now we're carrying too much weight. I'll be honest with you. I grew up in poverty. Well, me and Triggs grew up together. He know my story. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. I grew up in poverty.
Wow.
I don't want my kids to live like that.
Wow.
And so I'm telling you right now, you can joke on them if you want to. They ain't gonna be getting it from the mud. They're gonna be taking it from the shelf.
On the tree.
There you go. There you
And
go.
that's how we need to be thinking about it. And so mental health also deals with carrying weight.
Yeah.
If I'm carrying too much weight, it's very difficult for me to think about how big my career is going to be, what I need to do in my business, or being able to open up to, my therapist about all the things that are going on, because I'm trying to tell them all. Because grandma told me, well, if you got this thing going on, put some onions under your feet and just deal with it. We can't do that. And so we need to be mindful about the weights that we're carrying, and knowing the weights that you're carrying now, making sure that the next generation is not doing that same.
Wait, I want to piggyback real quick, talking about carrying weight. We got to become a culture that learns how to delegate, and what?
Delegate.
Let me tell you why. My Dr. Bryant Institute, my Dr. Bryant Wellness Center, and my Dr. Bryant Production Company, I'm great at what I do.
See?
Everybody who I delegate to, though, is better than me at what I delegate them to do. We have to stop needing to be the best person in the room, the best person in the position, and the smartest person in your company. It doesn't work like that. My assistant and best friend who's here, Lola Yates, we've been best friends for 28 years. She's been my assistant 15 plus years. Okay. She was assisting me when I couldn't even afford to pay her as an assistant. She was paying for her own flights, her own meals, and traveling with me to assist me. When I finally got the opportunity to be able to pay her, her work ethic did not shift. It did not change. She does so many things better than I can and will ever do them. Many things and reasons why my company has expanded is because of her, my COO, my VP. And so what I'm saying is, I have become one of the best delegators. I would delegate everybody in this room to do something that's going to contribute to the betterment of the Dr. Bryant Institute. Let me tell you.
That's
And
right.
it
That's
has,
right.
thank you. And it has allowed me to be the doctor that I need to be with my clients. It has allowed me to be the speaker and not have the weight of having to figure out the CFO position, the COO position.
That part.
Where's my lip gloss? Where is my water? Who's going to do this? Who's booking? Who's posting? I have a social media manager who schedules posts. I have a content creator. I have a manager, a PR assistant, a book publisher. So what I'm saying is,
Send me
as
their
you-
number. Send me their
I
number.
sure will, 'cause you need it. As y'all begin to expand, and even at the beginning stages, me and Danielle talk about this in session a lot. You have to learn how to delegate. And let me take it away from business for a minute. In the household, as a family dynamic, y'all better learn how to delegate outside that household and in that household. Self-care is important for mamas. It's
Yes.
important for fathers. It's important for married couples with no kids. The moment you learn to delegate is the moment you will feel recharged. It's the moment that you will have more of yourself to pour into everything else around you, especially yourself. So I'm going to say it again. We got to learn how to delegate. Delegate and what?
And
Delegate.
delegate. I'm
Yes.
talking about. All right. Sarah, you do a lot of business coaching. You do a lot of self-empowerment. You know, working with women of color, they often carry unique pressures in leadership. How do you advise them to prioritize their mental health and juggling personal and professional experience?
Oh, I kind of just answered this, but I can add to it, as I believe.
Jump in.
Yeah, I think that we all have to find our flow. I really feel like your day is set up in the morning. And I think too many of us allow our day to get away from us. I always say we all have 10 energy balloons. Okay, if you take anything away from me, I just want y'all to say energy balloons. Can y'all say energy balloons?
Energy balloons.
This is what I want you to take home. Throughout your day, you have 10 energy balloons. And oftentimes, if you don't do what you need to do to reinforce your mind, body, spirit, whether that's prayer, whether it's a workout, whether that's your tea in the morning, whether it's journaling, whether it's meditation, I don't know what it is for you. I know that I have my regimen. But by the time I'm done my regimen, when I get home from the gym and I get in the shower, I'm listening to gospel while I'm doing my makeup, I'm listening to a book. By the time I'm ready to step out of my door, I'm like, this is Sparta! I'm ready. Cue the kick, right? And so I say that to say, what we do inside of our day, and you guys have to excuse my voice. I've been traveling for this whole year, and so I'm a little raspy. I sound like I smoke cigarettes. I don't, okay? Just throwing that out there. But what I do is, let's say that you now get in your car. You did not prepare for your day. You get in your car, someone cuts you off in traffic. Then you go off on that person. Boom. That's 2 energy balloons of you getting mad at a person that can't even hear you. You get to the office, you hear the water cooler talk. The people are talking about you, or you overhear something that disappoints you, or, oh my God, I just hate this job. That's 3 more energy balloons. It's not even lunchtime. You only have half of your energy. By the time you get through the rest of your day, you hate your job so much. Okay, let's say that that's 1 more thing. You got to do this shipment. This person that I delegated to did not do their job. That person over here is lacking and I'm paying them and they're on the clock.
Girl,
All of these different things.
Everybody, rehire everybody.
Facts, right? But these things are happening, right? Like they said, be slow to hire, quick to fire. Sometimes when you just need help, they're not necessarily the best people in that field. Energy balloons. By the time I get home, I have already used 7 out of my 10 energy balloons. If you have a spouse, if you have children, if you have to cook dinner, if you need to work out, if you need to think, period, you don't have enough energy. And so what I'll say is harness your energy. It is a thing inside of us that only we can give away. What I mean by that is when that person cuts you off in traffic, isn't that interesting? When somebody's talking at the water cooler, isn't that interesting? Do you guys know who Jim Rohn is? One of the greatest motivational speakers of all time, amongst many others. He says, I don't ask questions like, why does the sun come up in the east and go down in the west? Oh, isn't that interesting? I don't wonder why girls are catty when they are. Oh, that's so interesting. Keep your energy. You are in charge of you. And when you harness you and you take power of you, you will be amazed by the productivity you have in your mental health, in your mind, your body, and your spirit.
All right. All right.
I got a question for you.
What?
How much time do you spend managing your energies?
I don't have to anymore. So for me, I think my default, I'm optimistic by choice. I'm happy by choice. I'm positive by choice. You've really got to earn my negative. Like you really did your big one. Okay. Like if I'm in a space where I'm ready to, this is Sparta, you really asked for it for real.
For sure.
You know, so, but I will say that now I'm so intentional. Do you guys want to know what I do in the morning? If y'all just want an idea. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm Canadian, so I'm a little bubbly, okay? He calls me jolly. I'm a little jolly. So when I wake up in the morning, I open my eyes, I'm like, oh, another day. And I close my eyes, and then I imagine like a halo, right? Or a sonic ring. And I imagine it going around my entire body. And I send love, and I send health, and I send favor, and I send prosperity, and I send clarity, and I send all these things, and I close it around my feet. And I do it around the people that I love the most. This takes me 30 seconds in the morning. When I get up, I go make energy tea. After my energy tea, I either journal or I go to the gym. But let's say I journal this day. I'm journaling the future as if it's now, because our subconscious does not know the difference. I am so blessed, happy, and grateful now that, and I write about the compound where we have our little baby walking, pitter-pattering on our asphalt road, where we go walk up to my parents' house, and I go for walks with my mom in the morning, and we stop by the garden and we eat cucumbers directly from the garden, because that's what we do. We don't even wash them jokers off. And then after that happens, after the journaling, I go to the gym, I come back, I'm in the shower listening to gospel, I'm doing my makeup, I'm listening to a book. Like I said, you can't rock me. I'm unrockable at this point because I've made the decision to be. That's how I harness my energy every day.
Okay. Thank you for that. Dr. Bryant, there's a big cultural stigma around therapy. And I want to say probably over the past 20 years, it's becoming more and more like mainstream. More people are admitting to going to therapy, having sessions. So what approaches have you found most effective in helping communities of color embrace mental health? Because us, it was like, oh, you just need to pray it out. Or you need to just think about it. You know what I'm saying? So what do you do to encourage people to, take care of their mental health from a mental health professional?
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm a Jesus girl, so I still believe in prayer. I don't think that prayer works, without works, but I do believe in prayer. But it's important, again, I said it earlier, for us clinicians who are, clinicians of color, to understand that we have to continue to create our own culture in the mental health field. So we cannot look at each patient or each client as being cookie cutter. We have to make sure that as Black folks, and, I stand on that, we are creating a culture of mental health that works for us, that treats trauma that looks different on us, that treats anxiety and depression that looks different on us. We have to make sure that we are again, asking and checking in with each client and saying, hey, what works for you? What are your norms? What's familiar to you? What are your traumas, because it looks different? And then from there, we have to have people, listen, we got to have clinicians who are Black, who show up Black, who talk Black, and who therapy Black. That is a big deal, because what happens is it allows our people to see folks who look like them, okay? And you'll be surprised at how many of my clients who are non-Black also appreciate the culture of having a Black therapist,
For sure.
okay? Because there's many people who are not Black, who have Black kids, who have Black husbands, who also have to be able to understand what it is to raise a Black child, what it is to be in a relationship with a Black man or a Black woman. And so again, it's our responsibility to create a Black culture within mental health, and to make therapy and coaching something that is attractive, something that is sexy. And it happens by folks who are going to therapy, using their platforms, using their voice to say, listen, I do go to therapy. These are the tools that were given to me. These are the results that you can see in me. These are the shifts and the changes. And more importantly, we have to make it to where our friend groups are more cathartic, are more therapeutic, that our friend groups are things that are providing wealth within our relationships, where we can actually have cathartic conversations, where we can check in with our friends and our family and say, hey, how are things over there? How is marriage over there? Without the comparison of this person is successful, this person is married, and maybe I'm not there yet, or maybe I haven't, accumulated that yet. Let's break that barrier and really check in with each other one-on-one and see how we can start the therapy in each relationship we come in contact with, so that by time we do our self-inventory, we're able to reprogram our norms that are not working. And lastly, I'll land on this. Therapy starts with self. When's the last time you took self-inventory of your norms that are not working? of your dysfunctions that are not working, what are you doing to deflect from what you don't want to see? How many of y'all sitting in the dark because you don't want to see the light? Because when the light turns on, you got to look at every single thing that reflects you. How many of y'all continuously are in codependent relationships, are in your attachment anxiety, dating because they're feeding stations for you? Not because they feed you, but they feed stations for your dysfunction, for your dysfunctional norms, your distorted thinking. And you're keeping those dysfunctional pathologies going on because you're allowing that to feed you, but you're eclipsed to all the drama, all the trauma, all the dysfunction, because you are so anxiously attached that if you don't plug in, then guess what? Your attachment becomes an issue. Now you cannot regulate unless you're plugged into somebody else. That's called codependency. We have to take inventory on what we're choosing, what is our feeding stations, what's feeding us healthily, and what's feeding us dysfunctionally. We got to rid the dysfunction and be okay in sitting in that discomfort of that emotion until we learn to be interdependent and secure attached. While we do it, we have a very, very, very anxious attached culture and community as Black folks. We are hypersensitive to hearing the truth. We are hypersensitive to hearing our very bad decisions. We want them to be coddled. So we keep ourselves plugged into people who would tell us, good job, bro. Keep going. Not plugged into people to say, that's some bullshit and you're fucking up. And that's just real. And we got to have people, especially clinicians, who will tell you you're not in alignment with what you said you wanted. You're totally out of alignment with who you wanted to date. You said you didn't want to be with a man with kids, but you dating a whole man for the past year he has kids. You out of alignment. So, hey, I'm self-projecting. Leave me alone, Dr. Triggs. Wait, somebody got triggered. But what I'm saying is, listen, y'all, we got to be able to look at self. And if I choose you, I trust you. So if I choose you as my friend or as my circle, well, I trust you to align me.
Yeah.
I trust you to appropriately check me. I trust you to tell me when I'm out of alignment. And when I trust you, I don't just gain knowledge, I implement it, because knowledge is not power. It's the implementation of knowledge that is. And lastly, words don't teach y'all, experience does. So we got to be getting out there. We got to get two things, knowledge, and we got to get experience, because that gives us wisdom. And while you're getting your experience, you don't have to wed. You don't have to have a baby. You don't have to make long-term decisions and results. Get your experience so that you can purposely, intentionally make your long-term decisions when you're ready, when you have the tools, and when your experience has made you wise enough to make better decisions in that right season.
There you go.
Amen.
All right, Gerald, like I alluded to, mental health, awareness of it is starting to grow. More people are speaking out on going to therapy. It's becoming more mainstream. But, access is still a major barrier. So especially in underserved communities, how can we close that gap?
How can we close the gap?
Yeah.
We need more doctors, 100%. We need more doctors. We need more psychologists. We have to have it. The physician population, the Black physician population, is about 5%.
Yeah.
I think for psychologists, it's about 2 to 3%.
3%.
But the population of Black people in America is about 13 or 14%.
13.4%.
Exactly. So we don't have enough professionals to actually treat the patients that need to be treated. If you belong to an organization, a company, anybody with resources, I encourage you to put those resources in organizations that build up students from high school, college, medical school, dental school, PhD in psychology. And the reason why is health is the foundation of any community. We don't have any hospitals. We don't have any standalone psychology institutions, do we? And so without those things, it's very difficult to treat our people. We need to be focused on treating our people. If we don't do that, we're going to go into this perpetual cycle where we have the problem, but no solutions are being made. And if you don't reach for the solution, then all we're doing is talking. So what are we going to do? There's a lot of entrepreneurs in the room. There's a lot of people with businesses. We need to be about the business of healthcare. Because if we're not, then grandma's still going to be dying of diabetes and kidney disease. Suicide rates are still going to go up amongst our youth. We're still going to have problems where people don't love themselves because, They feel like they're overweight. They go straight to Triggs.
I don't do overweight.
Keep them employed. But we have to start paying attention to ourselves. We have to start loving ourselves. And it starts with some of the foundational things. Healthcare, law, education. Those things we have to do. Because if we don't, then we're going to steadily be at the bottom. And we need to be at the top.
And we got to start being in the laboratories because we do have solutions. They just don't fit us. And that's the truth about it. When folks do studies, even in the medical field, not psychology, but the medicine field, who do you think they're doing these studies on? They're not doing them on Black males or Black women. So we are the guinea pigs to almost all of these medications. And until we say, well, 25% of us have died at the hands of this particular medication, that's the only way we know the side effects on us. We are anatomically built different, biologically built different, and there has to be folks that look like us in laboratories, in clinics saying, let's do these studies, not on rats, but on an animal or a actual clinical study that can directly apply to Black women and men.
Absolutely.
So we understand how those medicines, the COVID-19 shot. That is that's a perfect example of how many of our athletes now are dying as a result of taking a COVID-19 shot. But those shots were never done in a clinic for studies that tell how it would affect us. But we were the first that they wanted to do what? They wanted to get the injection. Out of all things they wanted to offer up first, not housing, not money, not business loans, none of that, right? It was, everybody come get that COVID-19 shot. And we're going to give it to the underserved, underprivileged community. But guess who was the last to have a COVID-19 testing center? We were. We weren't even worthy enough to them to have a testing center, but we were worthy enough to take their COVID-19 injection. Come on, y'all. We have to be able to think outside the box and get out of the societal constructs that keep us marginalized and keeps us despaired, because until we create our own resolutions, we don't have any resolutions. We are definitely accountable and responsible for our community.
I think America spent over $1 trillion in healthcare based on the GDP. Yeah. 0 of that was owned by Black people.
That's my point.
Absolutely.
So that's something we need to.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to get worse with the new administration at the same time, too. Because it's considered DEI at this point, and we know the war about that. Switching gears, Sarah, in your work, your practical tools or routine, what practical tools or routines have you seen make the biggest difference in helping leaders stay centered and resilient? I know you went through your own routine of how you get up, you put the halo on, you go through your affirmations, but what do you coach with your clients to get them to be their best selves?
Yeah, so I've stopped coaching one-on-one. I was doing high-ticket one-on-one coaching, and I love the transformation of people. However, now I'm in my heart work instead of my hard work. So this is that season for me where I get to do what I want to do, not what I have to do, even though I did really enjoy doing it. Now, that being said, I have taught thousands of people how to get to 6 and 7 figures. And ultimately, what I've learned is it's really not the tools. It's not the business tools. It's really self. It's how do you get out of your own way? How do you get unstuck? Because how many of us right now in this room have been to a seminar before? And how many of us, of those people that have been to a seminar, took notes at that seminar? And obviously no one in here but me in my past, when I went to seminars and I took notes, after I left that seminar, I never opened that book again. I never did any application because I had imposter syndrome, because I had disbelief, because I didn't feel confident enough, because I didn't think I was good enough. And so it wasn't until I actually did the work on myself of becoming where I was able to say, okay, the actions are the actions. Everybody can teach you the same thing. The steps are not that different in business. It's just, are you going to do it on a bigger scale or a smaller scale? Are you going to do it with a team? Or are you going to be a solopreneur? The steps are literally not that different for most businesses. But what is different every single time is that person looking in the mirror. And so I would ask you, because everything that you have in your life, your bank account right now, the car you drive, the shoes, bags, clothes you wear, the jewelry you have, the things you have access to are all a representation of what you think you deserve. And when I realized that I was at the pinpoint of all of my pain, when I realized that it was my decisions or my inconsistencies or my lack of accountability that led me to certain things, that's when I was like, oh, the good news is when we take accountability, we can change it. So now I have an opportunity to be the person. And that's the problem with society in this day and age. We're all duped from our childhood because we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do? Well, do is connected to achievement, whereas be is connected to fulfillment. Who do you want to be? Whether it's a speaker, whether it's an entrepreneur, whether it's a surgeon, whether it's a physician, whether it's a teacher, what are the characteristics and the essence and the energies of those types of people, and what can you do to make that into your own, and then practice being it, because that's the only way to become your greatest self is practice. You don't become great from day one. Not one person, not even any of us on this stage. All of us are still growing. And I think when we have compassion inside of the journey and we allow ourselves to be human and we understand that there's going to be life that slaps you in the face, you just have to fight back. So for me, I would ask the person, where is it that you believe? Write down all those different areas: mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially, energetically. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at on those levels? And then why is it that that's what you believe you deserve? If you rank a 4, why don't you deserve you believe a 6? And what does a 6 look like? What does a 10 look like? Right? If you spiritually haven't talked to God in 10 years and you might be a 1, what does a 3 look like? So my job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to help you create inventory for what's necessary for you to reach that next goal. And honestly, 90% of it is self.
Love it. Love it. So our final question, and this is for everyone. I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Bryant. If the audience could walk away with one daily practice to protect their mental health, what would you suggest?
Meditate every day for 20 minutes.
100%.
The power of meditation is it breaks down the resistance between you and you. And you gain a sense of self. And for the folks who constantly ask, like, how do I find my purpose, right? You find yourself and there's your purpose. Your purpose is not outside of you. It's in you. It is who you are. And so when you are in you and you create your purpose from you, which is what your purpose is, you're not exhausted. You don't have to wear a mask. You are being yourself. You are being authentic. You are gravitating toward, and people gravitating toward you who fit you. Your sheep will know your voice, like the Bible says. And so as you being the shepherd of who your sheep are, that is you being who God created you to be. And so as you stand in that and draw a square around it, you calibrate more of that. And when you give people who you are, that is the only time you can give somebody 100% of something. I can't give someone 100% of you or Triggs or Dr. Sarah. I can give you 100% of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Yeah.
And that's why I stand and here on stage or in session, I do drop an F-bomb from time to time. You know why? Because that's who I really am. You will get me being a person who's going to have that tough love, because that's who I am. When I'm on the phone with Triggs or I'm speaking, there is no different personality. I am who I am. So to everyone in this room, whether you are already scaling at multi-million dollars or you are in the beginning stages of attempting to get there or you're at 6 figures, the best gift you can give yourself and others is getting a sense of self. Who in the hell are you?
Right.
And what does it take for you to be the best you can be?
Yeah.
And stand in that every single day.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a village of people where you could really be you, something really beautiful happens.
Absolutely.
You shine. And those people end up loving you in a way that we all want to be loved. And that love is called unconditional love. And so what I've learned to do is what I call the superwoman or superman effect. I take my cape and I open it all the way up. And I say, this is everything and every type of moving part that I come with. If you can love all of this, we're going to be all right. But if you can't, then you have to find a whole different destination or address, because this is who you get when you get me. And lastly, y'all clap it up.
Clap that up.
And lastly, ask yourself, what do people get when they get you? Not
cool.
what do I get when I get people. No. What do they get when they get you? And if the inventory is rodents and weeds, then you know you got a lot to plow out in your garden. But if you can walk in that thing and say they get a lot of blossoms and roses with no thorns and fruit trees and a lot of harvest, then you know you're doing all right. Because as the Bible says, you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. And so I want to ask everyone in here as I land on this, what tree do you want to be? That's the fruit that you got to make sure that you bear. And that starts with taking inventory of your garden. What are you planting and what you need to plow out?
Yeah.
There's no way I'm coming after that.
What do you think, Gerald?
I mean, I agree with 100% of everything she said. I mean, I do a thing called pause practice. I pause before I answer anything, before I decide on anything. I think about what I'm doing because I want to make sure that I'm making the right decision. And so, like, I recommend taking that pause and everything that you do and say, okay, is this what I want? Is this who I want to be? Is this where I'm going? And just doing that. Prayer and meditation is everything, just like Dr. Bryant said. I'm not trying to be preachy. I'm a spiritual person too. I try to lean towards the fruits of the spirit. Love, peace, joy, kindness,
Love that.
self-control, things like that. Because those are the things that keep you alive longer than anything. And those are the things that'll give you the discernment to know I
on.
should be around this person or I should be with this
Why you
person.
Well, you
So
sure
good.
preaching. You sure preaching. You ain't trying to be preachy.
I ain't
brother.
trying to be preachy. Nah. But
But you
yeah,
pointed at me though.
I mean, you know.
Okay.
I mean, you're a surgeon, bro. I mean, but anyway, so I do lean into that prayer and meditation, the fruits of the spirit, making sure you're taking the time to think about what you're doing, making those decisions, and then trying to live the best life possible.
Yeah. No. It's funny you say that because we haven't had no conversation about this, but I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like I actually have an alarm. Like I do devotion in the morning, and then around 12:45, since I'm up so early, like half the day is gone. You know, you start kind of like slipping. And so I have an alarm that goes off at 12:45, and it just has like the little cross symbol, and then it has Galatians 5:22, the fruits of the spirit.
For sure.
So, you know, that's something I think you can do to, you know, keep you on track.
We some church boys.
Hey, man, a little bit from Alabama, Myrtle Wood, University Park. Anyway, Dr. Sarah, what do you?
For mental health, you guys touched on personal, so I'm going to talk on proximity. I would say you have to remember that sometimes the people that love you the most, they support you the least. And it's not because they don't think that you're great. It's not because they don't think that you're capable. It's because as old as you are today, they've seen you as who you are. And now you're trying to tell them that you're changing. And so what they're actually trying to do is keep you safe in the version of you that they know and away from that version of you that you're talking about. I love to speak in analogies, and I'll end it with this, that if I ran through a cornfield, because this is neurological, right? In our brains, we have pathways, neurological pathways inside of our brains, right? If I ran through a cornfield one time, would anyone know that I ran through the cornfield? No one would know. If I drove through a cornfield with a car, would someone know that I drove through a cornfield? Yes, absolutely. But over time, the corn would grow back and no one would really know that you drove through the cornfield. But if I drove that same path again and again and again and again and again, not only would people know, hey, someone's been here in this cornfield, but they would also make it impossible for corn to grow there any longer. The same way that you neurologically drive that pathway, that's why they say put the pictures on your phone, put the pictures on your ceiling, have it as your screensaver so that you can see it all of the time, because what you're doing is you're driving that neurological pathway. And the more that you see it again and again and again and again, not only is it like, hey, this is something that I actually want, but now it's harder for fear and doubts to grow there any longer. So when your family come around you and they say things like, sis, the market is oversaturated, or they tell you like, oh, you think you better than us now? Or they say, oh, her or him and his little business, or you're never gonna make it. You've got to be so locked into your own delusion inside of yourself and where you're going that not only do they start to believe you because they see your result, but then they start to ask you how. So I would say that, yes, absolutely, work on yourself, have a morning regimen. Yes, absolutely, I love what you said. And yes, absolutely, make sure that you are incubated around people that have proximity to you that are only going to speak life into your vision. And remember, it's okay. Sometimes it comes out in the most jacked up ways, but the truth is, sometimes the people that love you the most, they support you the least, but it's only because you don't have a result there yet. So get your result, whether that be mind, body, or spirit.
Damn.
Give it up for the panel. Got time for questions? All right, we'll take some questions real quick. No, we don't have time. All right, well,
No
with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in to Triggs Table Talk.